Hello and welcome, I'm Best from Killer Gaming, and today we have something. I don't normally flop with a deck, but today I have. I can't even call it a deck demo. I'm testing the waters with this one, please bear with me. Let me introduce you to Flower Power. This is a mixture of Sunavlon and Aromage with a focus on the Aromage synchro side. I regret everything in this deck, but we're gonna keep rolling with it. Hopefully within the next week I will have an actual deck demo for this with hopefully the Aromage side, because I want to do an entire different video on Sunavlon. But for this deck, I am saying it's a casual deck. For URCP you're looking at 240, SRCP looking at 300, Rare CP looking at 600, so if you've stocked up on Rare CP, this is the deck for you, and normal it's about 420 Rare CP. With that out of the way, let's get into the deck itself. Here we are, I have built this in Master Duel for you. So we will get to see replays instead of me trying to play this terribly, but we'll still get to see me playing this terribly within the replays. But I have to narrate it. It's wonderful. But you know, we're running 2 copies of Sunseed Genus Loci. It's our normal monster to get into Searching Wounds, Sunavlon Dryas. Then we're running 3 Evil Thorn because we want to have more life points than our opponent. Next we're running 1 copy of Spore for those synchro plays, 2 copies of Aroma Angelica. This is both a life gain and a body on the field. For synchro summoning, during either player's turn, you can discard this card to target 1 Aroma monster in your graveyard, gain life points equal to that target's attack. When your life points is higher than your opponent, you have an Aroma monster. Well, you control an Aroma monster in this card is in your graveyard, you special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can use each effective Aroma Jasmine once per turn. My bad, I wasn't reading cards. With the 3 copies of Evil Thorn, you can tribute this card and inflict 300 damage to your opponent. If you can do, you special summon up to 2 Evil Thorns from your deck in attack position, but the effects cannot be activated. 1 copy of Spore. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one of their plant monsters to special summon this card. If you do increase the level by the level of the banished monster, you can only use the effect of Spore once per duel. Next, we're running 2 copies of Aromage Laurel. If your life points are higher than your opponent, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do gain life points to 1 non-tuner plant monster on the field, it is treated as a tuner this turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can gain 500 life points. You can use each effect of Aromage Laurel once per turn. Next, you're running 2 copies of some Vine Maiden. When an opponent activates a card or effect that targets plant monster you control, that was special summoned from the extra quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do negate the effect, you can only use this effect to summon Vine Maiden once per turn. Your opponent cannot target Sunavlon or Sunvine spell traps you control with card effects. Next, we're running our Master Attack of 2 Max Seed, 2 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, then 2 copies of Aromage Jasmine. During the main phase, if your life points are higher, your opponent can open summon 1 plants monster in addition to your normal summoner set, except Aromage Jasmine. You can only gain this effect once per turn, then once per turn if you gain life points, draw a card. The reason we're running 2 of this is because if we can get 2 on the field, we get 2 draws. Sunseed Twin. If this card is normal special summon while you control a Sunavlon Link monster, you can target 1 level 4 normal monster in your graveyard, aka Sunseed Genus Loci, and special summon it. But you can banish this card from your graveyard and target 1 Link monster you control. If you have 2 or more plants Link monsters with the same name as each other, special summon 1 of them. You can only use each effect of Sunseed Twin once per turn. Next, we're running 3 copies of Sloan Fireballs because you can once per turn tribute a plant. Face a plant monster and special summon 1 plant monster from your deck, which 95% of our deck is plant monsters. If I had it. Next, we're running 2 copies of Aromage Kananga. While your life points are higher, your opponent face a monster your opponent controls with 500 attack and defense, but turn if you gain life points, target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls and return it to the hand. Next, we're running 1 copy of Rose Gold. Face up plant monster you control sent to the graveyard, except during the damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a plant monster on the field and this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. You can only use 1 Rose Girl effect per turn and only once that turn. Great for going into our synchro plays. Next, we're running 2 copies of Aromage Rosemary. While your life points are your opponent, if a plant monster you control attacks, your opponent cannot activate monster effect until the end of the damage step. Great for them battle Once per turn, when you gain life points, one face-up monster on the field and change its battle position. Great for going through monsters. Next, we're running 2 copies of Aromage Marjoram. While your life points are higher than your opponent, you take no battle damage from attack involving your plant monsters. You can only use each effect from Aromage Marjoram once per turn. One plant monster you control is destroyed by battle. You can special this card from your hand, then gain 500 life points. If you gain life points, start encouraging your opponent to graveyard up to the number of monster you control and banish them. Then we are running 2 copies of Sunvine Sowing, special summon 1 Sunseed monster from your deck. If you do, take 1000 damage. If you control no Sunavlon Link monster, you can only special summon Sunseed genus Loci with this effect. For the rest of the turn after this effect resolve, you cannot special summon monster from your extra deck except plant monsters. There's only really one non-plant monster, and it's a game ender. We'll get on more on that later. If a plant-like monster you control will be destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect, you may just card from your graveyard instead. You can only activate 1 Sunseed Sowing per turn. Next, we're running 2 copies of Aroma Garden. If you control the Aroma monster, you can gain 500 life. Also, monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's next turn. Even if this card leaves field, if the face of a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card and send to the graveyard, gain 1000 life points. Great card for gaining life points, and so is the next card. Aroma Gardening. If you normally summon an Aroma monster except for the damage step, you can gain 1000 life points. When an opponent's monster clears deck and your life points are lower than your opponent, you can special summon 1 Aroma monster from your deck. You can only use each effect of Aroma Gardening once per turn. I should probably be running 3 of this. Then you have Human Winds. You can pay 1000 life points, add 1 Aroma monster from your deck to your hand. If your life points are lower than your opponent, you can gain 500 life points. You can only use each effect of Human Winds once per turn. Great for getting cards to your hand and gaining life points if you're lower. Dried Winds. If you gain life points, circle 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. If you control the Aroma monster and your life points at least 300 higher than your opponent, you can pay life points equal to the distance and destroy face-up monsters your opponent controls whose combined attack are less or equal to the life points paid. To activate this effect, you can only use each effect of Dried Winds once per turn. Destroying monsters is always good. Then Blessed Winds. You can activate 1. We're running 2 copies of this. One of the following effects: send a plant monster from your hand or face up field to the graveyard, gain 500 life points. Target 1 plant monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into your deck. This effect is amazing. Then gain 500 life points, then pay 1000 life points, special summon a monster from your graveyard. This also gets your synchro back. You can only use each effect of Blessed Wind once per turn. Next, we're running 3 copies of Aromatherapy Jasmine, which costs 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuners is level 5. While your life points are higher, all plant monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense once per turn. You target when you gain life points, target 1 card your opponent controls. That face-up card has its effects negated until the end of this turn. Then we're running 2 copies of Queen Thorn. Each player must pay 1000 life points for each monster they normally special summon from their hands, except plant-type monsters. Great taxing effect. I should probably be summoning this more. 2 copies of Aromatherapy Sweet Marjoram. If your life points are higher than your opponent, cannot target plant monster you control with card effects. You can only use each effect of Aromatherapy Sweet Marjoram once per turn. If the card is synchro summon, you can add 1 Human Winds. Dried Winds are plus point from your deck to your hand. If you gain life point, target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. Also, I probably just need to get better at the combo lines. We are running 1 copy of Ancient Sacred Wyvern, 1 light tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. All your, or a good amount of your, Aromatherapy Angelica is light to go into Ancient Sacred Wyvern. While your life points are higher than your opponent, this card gains attack equal to different. While your life points are lower, this card loses attack. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can pay 1000 life points to special summon it. Then we're running Pernilus, the Empress of Blossoms. Gain 400 attack for each plant monster you control, except this card. During the main phase, you can special summon 1 level 5 or higher plant monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, except itself. You can only use this effect once per turn. Then we're in 2 copies of Sunavlon Dryas. 1 level 4 lower plant monster. If this link summon using Sunseed genus Loci, you can add 1 Sunvine spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This card cannot be targeted for text, but it does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. Once per turn, when you take battle or effect damage, even your own, you can gain that much life points, and if you do, special summon 1 Sunvine monster from your extra deck. We're usually summoning healer for more HP, or life points I should say. And then 2 copies of Sunvine Healer. If Sunvine Avalon Link monster you control leaves the field by the card effect, Destroy this card. If this card is special summon, you can target one Sunavlon link monster and gain life points equal to its rating times 300. When a plant monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can gain 600 life points. Then we're running 2 copies of Aromatherapy Jasmine, which takes 2 plant monsters when the life points are higher than your opponent. This card and any monster points you can't be destroyed by battle. You can tribute 1 monster. This card points you special summon a plant monster from your deck. In defense position, you can leave this effect. Remember that Therapy Jasmine once per turn. Once per turn, if you gain life points, add 1 plant monster from your deck to your hand. This is a soft once per turn, so you can cycle through Aromatherapy Jasmines and draw more cards. With that out of the way, let's get into why I need to work on my combo lines. Loading, loading. Ah yes, the new man himself, my boy White Breaking. Now for the first game. Now let's just speed through this to show you how badly I did. Go into Lone Fire Blossom, tribute Lone Fire Blossom for Evil Thorn, use Rose Girl special summon itself, use Thorn's effect, they have more life points than my opponent, go into a Sunavlon Dryas, use its effect, get a twin. I summon twin in the wrong spot, so I can't use Dryas' effect. Go into a Martyram, get Blessed Winds, set Blessed Winds. Now in this scenario, I probably should have gotten something else. Bingo Machine go, we're gonna ash it, and they are gonna summon Dictator of D, sending up Blue Eyes. We're gonna activate Humid Winds to gain 500, and they scoop. But that was Blue Eyes, you know. It wasn't my Blue Eyes deck, so you know, that kind of hurt them. Go watch my Blue Eyes video. I'm proud of it. Unlike this deck. On to game 2. This hand is even worse. They're gonna defizz. We're gonna plow into them with a Kananga. They're gonna lure. Going to Gizmekarochi. The big boy himself, bigger than my monster, plows into it. And we're gonna go and try for a play. Lone Fire into Evil Thorn, you've seen this combo in the last game. Go for Jasmine, and we get a Judgment. That's not great. Which means they get a free attack. Now, all this banishing is a problem for me. We're gonna get Sunseed Sowing, or Sunvine Sowing, I should say. They're gonna try and pot. We're gonna ash that, of course. It's prime ash bait. We're gonna take damage, go into Dryas, gain life points, gain more life points, and they're gonna scoop because of that. Because apparently I have them in a loop. Or they just kind of lose connection. You know, McDonald's Wi-Fi. And for the final one. I love this hand. I'm gonna go into Sowing, go into Loci, go into Dryas. Dryas into another Sowing, and normal summon Marjoram, which is probably the worst thing I could have done. Then I see I'm fighting a starter deck. Yep. Not really, they were playing Dust Tornado. We're gonna gain 2000, go into Marjoram, use Kananga to do nothing, go into another Dryas, then activate Sowing, this time doing the correct thing. I'm slowly learning. get a Lokai, get a healer, gain more life points, get a Jasmine, then go into an aromatherapy mark. Dram. Get a human winds. I probably should have gotten the blessed winds again. Then we're gonna go into another dry ash just in case we take damage. Apply them for all they're worth. My combos are slow and this would not survive in ranked. Go for another Angelica. Go for the Angelica. Destroy the back row. And bring a Rose Girl to my hand. And when they realize they can't attack the Dryas, they're gonna scoop. Yeah, we're in silver right now. I'm ashamed to say that. Hopefully next week I can get a better version of this deck, do some more research. But with that being said, I thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.